Hello everyone, welcome to the Dream Life blog, and this video is the second part of our kombucha series. In this episode, we will discuss how to flavor your kombucha for your second fermentation. We will explain more about each of these methods and provide some of our favorite flavoring ideas for inspiration. One of the greatest benefits of making your own kombucha at home is the ability to influence the flavor of your finished kombucha, plus find new flavor blends that you and your family will enjoy. You can influence the flavor of your kombucha tea by choosing a different tea, adjusting the fermentation time, or adding flavor. There are a lot of ways to influence the flavor of your kombucha. Number one is to choose a different tea. The type of tea you use to brew your kombucha can change the flavor of the finished kombucha, even before flavoring agents are added. From black tea to white teas, each variety lends a different flavor to the finished beverage. Number two is to adjust the fermentation time. The longer a batch of kombucha ferments, the less sweet and more acidic the results will be. We recommend fermenting your kombucha for at least 7 days and at most to 30 days. For us, we have a 7-day routine. We brew our batches every Sunday and harvest the next batch on the same day regularly. After 7 days, begin tasting the brewing kombucha. The earliest that I have tried is 4 days of first fermentation, and it turned out okay. Just pour a small amount on a cup and taste. If your brew vessel does not have a faucet, use a non-metal spoon or ladle. Once the flavor reaches the desired sweetness or acidity, halt the process by pouring the finished kombucha into bottles or containers for flavoring or straight drinking as a plain beverage. Number three is to add flavoring. Once the initial fermentation period is complete and the SCOBY has been removed, you can consume your kombucha as is, plain with no flavor, or choose to add additional flavoring. Always remember to keep at least 3 to 4 cups of your first ferment to use as starter for your next batch. If you decide to flavor your kombucha, you can either enjoy it immediately or ferment further for a more developed taste in the final product. From fruit and juices to herbs and spices, there is a wide variety of flavored drinks that you can create. You can make your own combinations to create your own fizzy sensations. What is the ratio for kombucha tea? If flavoring with fresh, frozen, or dried fruit, start with a 10 to 30% fruit and 70 to 90% kombucha. If flavoring with juice, start with 10 to 20% juice and 80 to 90% kombucha. If flavoring with herbs, the variety and strength of the herb varies greatly. Experiment to come up with the best ratios and combinations for your taste preferences. For flavor extracts such as almond or vanilla extract, start with 1/4 teaspoon extract per cup of kombucha and adjust to taste. Remember, the flavor will continue to develop during the second fermentation period. For us, since we want to use what we have in the garden or locally, our kombucha is flavored with whatever is in season, like mangoes, pineapples, banana, sometimes even santol, local cherries, guavas, and more. You don't have to buy expensive fruits to flavor. Even a blue ternate flower or ginger gives you a delicious flavor. We also process our fruits in a blender, so we use up even the pulp or fiber that we can include it in the kombucha and drink it. Just remember, if you are using herbs or fruits that are not sweet for the second ferment, we recommend that you add a sweetener, or else you will not achieve that fizzy, carbonated drink. The second fermentation allows your kombucha to achieve that fizzy, carbonated drink. But why second ferment your kombucha? There is a quiet few different advantages to bottling the finished kombucha and fermenting it further. A second fermentation period allows the flavor to meld and achieve a deeper and more complex flavor profile. Additionally, if bottled in an airtight container, the carbon monoxide produced during fermentation will remain, giving the kombucha the fizzy texture it is known for. How to choose the bottles for storing your second ferment of kombucha? Well, essentially, any glass container with a lid can be used to store kombucha to obtain the carbonation level. It is important to bottle the kombucha in truly airtight bottles. While other jars are effective for storing kombucha, but they are not really airtight, carbon dioxide can leak from them and reduce the fizziness of your kombucha. A better option is a flip-top bottle, which will adequately contain the fermentation gases and keeping the kombucha better carbonated. You can buy these bottles in groceries or online. Before using, check the bottles carefully for cracks or imperfections, which can weaken the integrity of the bottle and lead to explosions. Yes, kombucha can create explosions. So you'll also want to make sure that you've attached the lids on the bottles correctly. Last thing we recommend is burping the bottles every day, so during the second fermentation, you release the excess pressure. A tip: if you don't have access to specialty bottles or flip-top bottles, such as the one mentioned previously, we have tried to use glass soft drink bottles that has a cap. If the cap is not tight enough, we just place a plastic over it and then fasten the cap as usual and as tightly as possible. This trick works well too, so you can brew with little to no cost at all. Just make sure that if you are reusing bottles, that it is thick and durable enough as the kombucha can explode if not burped regularly. How long should you ferment your kombucha for the second time with the flavor? Actually, there is no hard and fast rule for the length of fermentation. In general, we advise letting your bottled kombucha ferment for 2 to 4 days. Our usual practice is 2 days, room temperature, and then put inside the refrigerator or chiller after that. If you like more acidic and less sweet, then leave it in room temperature longer. The length of time you allow your kombucha to ferment for a second time depends on your personal taste preferences. The temperature of your fermentation area can also affect it and the types of flavors that you've added. Warmer temperatures speed up the fermentation process, so if your fermentation area is on the warmer side, you'll want to aim for a shorter second fermentation. Similarly, if you pair your finished kombucha juices with fruits that has a higher sugar content, this provides the bacteria in your kombucha more to feed on, and thus it will speed up the fermentation as well. Burping bottles and taste testing should be regularly done if you have the time. For us, since we don't have the time to burp it, our rule of thumb is just 2 days in room temp and then we put it straight in the refrigerator. But the best way to check if your kombucha is done with its second ferment is to taste it, to test its flavor and also its fizziness. Tasting your kombucha every day or so is also a good way to remember to release some of the pressure built up on the bottles. This is especially important if you don't want to end up with a messy explosion. But of course, for busy people like us, burping 10 to 20 bottles daily is impossible. So our rule of thumb again, 2 days in room temperature, then off to the fridge. Please note that you will not have the carbonation sometimes. I have tried having mango flavored one that was flat after a week, so I just placed it inside the chiller. Surprisingly, after 2 weeks, it achieved the perfect carbonation and the delicious taste. So don't be too hard on yourself if you get a flat brew. Just try again or maybe try another combination until you find your best fit. So what are the instructions for bottling kombucha for a second fermentation? Number 1, make sure that your equipment and bottles are extra clean. Number 2, and this is how we do it, but you can also develop your own way to do it, is we blend the fruit. Here we are using mango and calamansi juice. We like to blend it so that we can drink it all. But you can also just slice the fruit and maybe you can strain it afterwards if you want to have bigger chunks. Next, after blending the fruit, we place it in the bottles equally. If you are not using a continuous brew or spigot, remove the SCOBY from the finished kombucha. Make sure to leave at least 3 to 4 cups for your next batch brew. Mix and pour into your bottle with a funnel to avoid spillage. Bottle the flavored kombucha in airtight bottles, leaving a few inches of headspace. We usually do like at least 1 inch headspace for our bottles. If you are reusing bottles, as mentioned before, and the cover is not tight anymore, you can just place plastic over it and then fasten the cap as usual and as tight as you can. Leave the bottled kombucha flavor to ferment for 2 to 14 days at room temperature. For us, to make it easy to remember, we do our batch brew every Sunday and also harvest every Sunday. So that means our second fermentation will be in room temperature Monday to Tuesday, and we put it inside the refrigerator every Wednesday. Of course, the preferred will be to label your kombucha with a date to harvest, so that you will know if you really don't have the regular time in brewing, at least you have a label to remember. Once the second fermentation process is complete, you can strain out the liquids if desired and then rebottle in another container. For us, we blended the fruits, so we don't strain anymore. So from the 2 days outside, we directly put inside the refrigerator until we want to drink it. How to store bottled kombucha? We recommend, what we really do is just put it inside the refrigerator. Fermenting it outside for more than 14 days, your flavored kombucha might be too acidic or too sour. So if ever you forgot your brew and then it becomes very sour, then you can still use it as a vinegar or as dressing to your salads. The longer you wait for 14 days, carbonation, can really build up. The more sugar in the flavoring, the faster the carbonation will build. It's a good idea to burp the bottles, yes, but if you don't have the time, then 2 days outside and then put it in the refrigerator. And always use a thick and durable glass bottles for the second fermentation process. Remember, use only glass bottles. The plastic bottles might have an effect, or the carbonation can affect the bottle if you use plastic. So just use glass bottles. A little warning: use caution when opening the bottles. Creation of carbon dioxide during the secondary fermentation period means the contents of the bottle will be under pressure, and the caution should be used when opening the bottle. We recommend covering the bottle with a cloth to catch any spraying liquid or explosion, and opening the bottle slowly over the sink while applying the downward pressure. In our experience, chilled kombucha inside the refrigerator, when you open it, might still have a fizzy explosion, as in a soft drink or carbonated drink that has been shaken. But it will not be as much as it were not inside the refrigerator. So chilling your kombucha first in the refrigerator prior to drinking it does not only make it more delicious as it is chilled, but also safer to open, because the explosion is somewhat little lesser. So to summarize, what you need for your second fermentation is fruit for your flavor, your kombucha first ferment batch, and an airtight and durable bottle. 2 days in room temperature and then place inside the refrigerator. You may also add gin, vodka, or other spirits if you prefer more kick in your kombucha, but you can mix it when you drink it. Do not include in the fermentation. We have not tried that, so just don't try it. You may also add ice, particularly like my kombucha with a lot of ice. So if it's your first time to drink kombucha, also drink a small amount first so your body can get used to it. You may experience diarrhea or loose bowel movement if you drink too much on your first try, because your body, your gut, or your stomach is still adjusting to the new good bacteria that you have drank. So just drink moderately at first. Of course, I can't blame you if you drink a lot on your first try because it is very delicious. You may gradually increase your drink as you get used to the kombucha. Another thing to remember is moderation. Too much of something is always not good for us. For our family, we alternate our drinks, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with kombucha, and water kefir on Thursdays and Fridays. Saturdays and Sundays, we do green smoothies or natural powder juice that we also make ourselves. I can attest to this as I myself have been weaned from soft drinks and artificial juices with these kombucha drinks. I still drink soft drinks occasionally, but very rare these days, as opposed to before when it was a daily and every meal. It's healthy, it's natural, it's cheap when you brew your own kombucha. There are also ready-to-drink kombuchas available in the market for those who cannot brew their own or want to try first before getting a SCOBY. You can check out other YouTube channels and the internet for other tips and tricks in doing kombucha. You can also develop your own method that works best with you. Just remember, in anything that you do, just enjoy it and learn. It's me, your Dream Architects, wishing you a healthy and happy life despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Drinking kombucha is one way to boost up our immune system to fight off diseases such as COVID-19. So try one now and let us know in the comment section below, or send us a message and we will be happy to answer them for you the best way that we can. Enjoy, like, and share, and please don't forget to subscribe to the Dream Life channel.